Good morning, everyone. I'm Kelly Jones, and it's my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar. This session will run for 30 minutes, and as you can see, we've started with mics off to limit any background noise. So can you please just check you're all on mute, just in case you've hit a button. The cameras are on, and it's always nice to see all of you. So if you have a camera, by all means, switch it on. We're keen to take your questions today, which in the interest of efficiency, we've asked you to pop in the comms to the side in the chat bar, and we'll address those questions after our webinar today in the post-webinar communication. So for now, I ask you to sit back, relax and enjoy. I trust you've got a coffee at hand. It's over to Dave Francis now, who will take us through what we have planned for today's session.
Good, click. Thank you. Thank you, Kel, and good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this webinar, the first of a two-part series. My name is David Francis, for those of you that I haven't met, and my role is General Manager, Access Accountants Group. Up until a couple of weeks ago, my role was General Manager, Reckon Accountants Group. And about that, we have had some changes over the last few weeks, and it's that we really want to talk to you about today. So the plan is this, two-part webinar. The first one today, we want to give you an overview of APS's journey into Access, a little bit about who Access is and how that fits into the bigger picture. At the second webinar, so the second one in that same invite, we will hear from the leadership of our new, bigger, stronger, faster development team to present to you a combined Access Accountants Group roadmap. So today I'll give you a little bit on the transaction, the logistics, what actually went across, what didn't, what changes now, and what the transition period looks like, as well as some of the big picture stuff. I will also talk today about some of the APS Plus roadmap updates, the APS Plus range we've been talking about for a while. But before we get into all this, it gives me great pleasure to introduce my co-presenter, Mr. Kerry Agiasotis. Kerry is based here in Sydney, is the president of the Access Group Asia Pac business. And it's been great for me over this last month or so to spend some time working with Kerry. And I'm reporting to Kerry in my new role at the Access Group. So Kerry, over to you.
Thanks, David. And equally, it's been a pleasure, getting to know David and work with David and the broader APS team, and really excited to be with you today to share a little bit about the Access Group. You may or may not have heard of us, the journey that the company has been on, but really importantly, what we've been doing in this part of the world. And then again, the importance of the accountants part of our business here, and really the why, coming back to effectively the investments that we've been making in this space, as we've been talking about today. So starting with the Access Group, first, it's a software company, built effectively out of the UK that's gone through really explosive growth. It's an organization that's been around for a little over 30 years, but really went into a new mode of growth about a little over 10 years ago, where essentially it took on a view that it could start to solve business problems faster in the pace that technology was changing, using a combination of M&A activity and then really bringing new businesses, people, products, capability together to help accelerate growth. So it's very much a software company with this business model that really combines organic growth and merger and acquisition activity. And as a consequence, it's really been enjoying, like I said, really unprecedented growth in this space of a company of this size. Today, it is the second largest software company in the UK. It's generating a little over 680 million pounds, so over $1 billion Australian dollars worth of revenue, and running at circa 30%, a little bit over profit in 256 million pounds in our last fiscal year. So again, a really incredible trajectory. I joined the company as one of these acquisitions. I was running the Asia Pacific business for Sage at the time. I joined a little over 12 months ago, about 14 months. And at that time, this screen was showing about a little under 3,500 employees. So again, it gives you a bit of a sense of just how rapidly, the company is growing. In terms of the how, the how really comes back to a philosophy of really being able to address the broadest set of needs for our customers as possible. And again, it comes back to this ability of being able to essentially augment the capabilities that we have, people, products, and other assets, software assets, obviously through M&A, but quickly integrating them into our core so we can provide a greater set of capabilities to our existing clients and strengthen our ability and our proposition, therefore, to new clients as well. So we do this thinking about, really the market in two ways: in the industries that we serve, so industry-specific solutions, as well as solutions that cross industry. So as you can see in that top section, accountants now, and that really is part of effectively what Asia Pacific has influenced, for the Access Group overall. It's a division that now exists for Access that we've built out here, along with all of the other verticals that essentially have been part of the Access Group in the UK, as well as then a whole lot of horizontal solutions that are made available to each of these industry ones. And you'll learn more about this as you engage with us to understand how we can start to now address a broader set of needs than just the core, accounting and accountant specific needs that we've addressed historically. When you look at us, so therefore, as an organization in Asia Pacific, we talk about, really explosive and rapid growth overall, but when you think about that in Asia Pacific, it's been remarkable. It's a brand that many of you probably wouldn't have heard of before our acquisition of APS. And this page sort of tells you a little bit why, because really we've only been in the market for less than 3 years in earnest. The first few acquisitions were acquisitions of businesses that really supported growth of our UK business. So they were rounding out some of those UK divisions. But the decision to actually have a footprint in Asia Pacific and to grow the business out really started in October 2019 with the Attaché acquisition. Since then, the acquisitions that we've been making have been all about how we expand our footprint and our focus in this region. And so since then, with more than 10 acquisitions later, we're 1,000 strong employee organization, more than 25,000 customers in the Asia Pacific region, serving more than 23 markets in the region more broadly. And similarly to what I spoke about in terms of the Access overall model, we do this through industry solutions as well as horizontal software categories. And with accountants being the largest part of our business now in Asia Pacific as a consequence of combining the acquisition of the Reckons Accountants Group with what we had in the Sage part of the business that was acquired, the Handysoft component. And then more recently, which is going to be also an important addition to the overall Access family, but to accountants in particular, is the Fathom acquisition that we just announced last week. So that's another really exciting addition to the overall business. So where that leaves us, or where that actually brings us to in terms of our focus, I talked about accountants being the largest part of the business in Asia Pacific today. With the combination of all of those capabilities, assets, and people, customers, revenue, it does make us a top 3 player today in the ANZ accountant software market. So when you think about, the combination, we have more than 8,500 customers, across Australia and New Zealand, 46 of the top 100, which has, really been, a strong point of APS for a long time. And that's something that, was a really important part of the criteria for us in looking at APS and really helping us to expand our footprint in the broader market from where we were. But what's most impressive is when you start to look at the impact, that we make. And our focus here, is fundamentally providing and addressing the broader set of needs of accounting firms. That's our focus. You are our focus. It's not your customer. It's not your customer's customer. You are our focus, and making sure that we can address the broadest set of your needs as possible as your firm continues to change in addressing your clients' needs is essentially what we're about. And from that standpoint, the impact that then we jointly make is what we really, pride ourselves on. So working with you, we get to support effectively starting with, the compliance needs of more than 5 million Australians, more than 1 million businesses collectively. And, our ambition is to help you continue to advance, the wealth creation, both individually as well as for businesses as we move forward. And so when you think about that, we believe we're really well placed. We have been in the market for more than 35 years. We have an incredible organization with impressive tenure. The average tenure of our people is more than 10 years, and actually is on average approaching closer to 15. And that's across our engineering as well as our go-to-market areas, which brings a wealth of knowledge of how business is done here. But really importantly, has shown that we've stood the test of time. When you think about all of the technological change, business change, environmental, we're still here today, really innovating, and we've got really exciting plans and already made great progress on those plans, as we speak about, where we're at today. So David shared really importantly that we're doing this in two parts. So our product people will come back and share in more detail exactly where we're at in terms of this journey. But I'm going to actually give you just a little bit of a glimpse as to the thinking, right? Because I think this is really important. And as I said earlier, our focus is on effectively how we best address your needs, not just for today, but for tomorrow, importantly. And we've seen the really important shifts in industry. Obviously, at the very core, and core income, for public firms, still is driven from compliance. But the importance of being multidisciplinary, using this wealth of information that we now have available about clients, both individuals and businesses, allows different opportunities for effectively being able to serve them. And we've really thought about this architecturally. So not just essentially replacing what we've had historically, but taking a step back and understanding the changing dynamics of firms, understanding the challenges that you have in terms of now the wealth of data, but the disparity of it as well, and how much time you spend having to manage that, how much time you spend in having to worry about coordinating work across the firms and firms that are changing rapidly in terms of structure and nature, and then being able to develop applications that really both address the need out of the box, but give you flexibility to continue to be able to adjust and evolve as your business evolves. So we've thought about these in terms of capabilities and architecturally, and we're really far advanced. I made a statement post the acquisition of APS that the belief was that within the first 12 months post, that we'll be able to talk to you about an end-to-end cloud native replacement for what you've had, right? And that's a decision that that we'll be providing. It's not something forced, because the way that we've built out the technology, we're providing pathways to being able to adapt and adopt, our new capabilities. So, like I said, stealing a little bit of our product group's thunder, but they'll be talking to you much more about how the collective assets that we now have accelerate us towards this next generation. And I believe that David's actually going to share a little bit about those core components that APS had been building out that we've sort of seen as being those accelerants for what Access had been working on in being able to deliver this overall end-to-end vision. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of a sense for the Access Group, how, essentially our intention for being a leading firm, in Asia Pacific software provider, and importantly, the role that accountants play as part of that vision and that journey overall. And just super excited to be welcoming APS and you, our clients, and now as Access clients. So, with that, I look forward to meeting many of you in person in the months to come. And David, over to you to share the next part of it.
Thank you. It's so really nice to have that bigger picture start point. Right? And so as you can see where we're going, it's not just replacing what we're doing, it's thinking so much more broadly about what we can offer you today and in the future. So I just thought I'd go into some of the specifics of the transaction. As I say, there's been some confusion out there in terms of this. So just to clarify what has happened in the transaction. This was an asset sale. So from the 1st of this month, the Reckon Accountants Group, think APS and Elite, has now been acquired by the Access Group. Right, so from that date, all of us are in the access group from August the 1st. So our friends at Reckon continue to be Reckon, right? Continue to be on the ASX, trading, and now focused entirely on building solutions for businesses, for your clients, right? So they're doing that. Meanwhile, all of the team that was involved in designing, building, implementing, and supporting APS joined the access group. So it's a pretty clean split. The accountants group team going this way, the business group team staying where they are. So the point being, the team's all here, we're all together, we've just got different colored business cards from the 1st of this month. So in terms of contact, you can still get hold of us in all the same ways. So my APS portal is still your go-to for just about everything. The same lovely APS support team is still at the end of those same phone lines. And of course, your client success team is here to work with you on anything to realize value out of your APS suite. Again, still available through the same channels. In terms of the products, again, all the products in the APS world, our digital workspaces solution, the on-prem solutions, and all the cloud stuff, all of that comes across. Tick. As does all of our current, planned, and future integrations. So everything in the suite that you are used to all comes across. So the important point being, there's no holes. As we move out of Reckon, all the good stuff you need comes with us for today and for tomorrow. So we'll talk a little bit about the APS Plus range. It's really important that all that APS Plus stuff and the technology in which they were built comes with us, right? So that's important in terms of continuity. Now, we do have a transition. We're essentially bringing together two businesses here, which, as you all know, there's a bit to that. But we have, when we've planned this integration, very much had your journey, the client journey, as the center and the anchor for our planning. Right, so we're very confident we can do all this lifting behind the scenes, minimizing any impact on you as our clients. And to achieve this, we've agreed what I'd call a soft transition from Reckon, meaning that where it makes sense to smooth the transition, we'll continue to use some Reckon pieces and tools whilst it helps your journey. So as a result, you may still see some at reckon.com. Email addresses floating around, some Reckon URLs and some of the online stuff and cloud products. That's all part of the transition. And again, it's designed to make that as smooth as possible for you. Now, having said that, we are absolutely, and we're already looking at some cool new systems for the future. But in terms of the transition, the mantra is to make it smooth for you as the clients. So the other big thing, of course, from an agreement perspective, your agreement for APS that was formerly with Reckon is now novated to your agreement re-APS with the Access Group, and importantly, on exactly the same terms and conditions. Tick. Now, Kerry mentioned the creation of the Access Accountants Group. Obviously, I'm biased, but I'm very, very excited in particular about this unit. All right, so as Kerry said, started with the Sage acquisition in 2021, now adding APS and Elite into this mix. This is now a significant and somewhat unique entity focused all on accountants. So as Kerry said, about 8,500, 9,000 accountants represented with the solutions on screen. And just as APS has long been the #1 choice for the bigger accounting firms in Australia and New Zealand, Handysoft have a fantastic history and a very strong market share in the smaller end of town. So the point being, there's an enormous amount of industry experience, knowledge, problem solving in this group. And just to double click on a couple of those points, there are a few key points that I'm excited about this new entity and what it's going to mean we can do. The first thing we get out of this is focus. Right? At Reckon, obviously, we had the competing priorities of accounting software for businesses, as well as APS and accountant solutions. In the Access Accountants group, we have focus on building solutions for accountants. And as you know, focus is a wonderful thing when it comes to results. But at the same time, we are joining, as you would have heard, a significantly bigger business. More resources playing at a bigger scale. So that combination is exciting to me. More resources and greater focus in terms of where we deploy those. And Kerry also mentioned there are some fantastic synergies in what we had been doing individually as Access, as Rec and APS, that we're now able to do stronger together. For example, one of the first things we did when we were able to go live a few weeks ago is to get the two product teams and throw them in a windowless room to unpack all the good work that's been done by all of the squads up to this date. And a couple of examples that came out of that, because there's a real sense of excitement over what we can do, A, with the products that are already there today, but B, with the combined capacity, capability, and everything else of the bigger team. A couple of specifics. The Access team were very impressed with APS Ledger Plus. Right? This is our new cloud accountant's general ledger. I'll talk more about that in a minute. But the point being, the Access guys saw fantastic use for this technology in the existing Access solutions. On the other side of the fence, Access have a mature cloud tax product here in Australia. Right? Today, it is not at a feature parity with an APS product. However, a lot of the hard work of designing a cloud tax product has been done here. And it's the stuff you don't see behind the scenes in terms of the complicated bits about a tax product. And what that means is that our new, bigger, combined tax teams will be able to utilize that technology to get to APS Cloud Tax far quicker than we could doing that individually. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. And also in the, as we opened the hood on the Access side, the Access group have other solutions, mature solutions, existing solutions available today that we are going to be able to offer to you as accountants. Right? Some really interesting stuff around CRM, working with your clients, HR, people, learning management, working with your teams. Again, we can't wait to share some of that with you. And also for the techies in particular, we at Access have built some amazing accountant-specific solutions in the Salesforce environment. Right? So these are tools that A, look amazing, but B, being in that Salesforce environment opened a whole new world of options, integrations, mobile applications, etc., which is a bit of a game changer. Right? Now, all of these things we're going to talk to you about in the next webinar when you're going to hear from the product team how we knit all this together as the one Access Accountants Group roadmap. Right, so very excited to share that with you. But to be really clear, and Kerry touched on this, so much exciting stuff, so much new stuff. I really want to emphasize we have not taken our foot off the gas in terms of continuing to ship the APS Plus products that we've been talking about for the last couple of years. In APS Workflow Plus, in Workflow world, good year of uptake in Workflow. We've ticked over 2,000 APS users using this product, and it's got some new features. One feature I want to click on that was very much driven by you, the early users, is that you now have the ability to rename the status points in the workflow, and therefore to rename these columns in the Kanban view. So we ship this saying not started, in progress, on hold, etc. Now we've given you the ability to rename those essentially whatever you like to align with the language that you use and the workflows that you use in your firm. All right. Again, that's gone down very well. That's there today. And also some new reporting. So as we get more and more jobs, tasks, etc., into the system, we're introducing some new reports that slice and dice and give insights across that information to managers and partners. And this is user management. So right across the APS Plus range, user management is where you add users, subtract users, and set them up as to what they can do and what they can see from a security perspective. So since we last spoke, in here, we've introduced multi-factor authentication, MFA, right across the APS Plus range, set at a firm level. And we've also given you or your system administrators the ability to reset MFA if the users are unable to do this themselves, which we know happens not an insignificant amount of time. And Contacts Plus. So this is the new way of looking at APS clients within APS and is central to the integration story. More on that in a minute. Most exciting for me because it's the newest one. This is APS Ledger Plus. So this is the new cloud-based replacement or new version of XPA and Sync Direct and Exceed Report Writer, all bundled up into one lovely new cloud product. Now, the version that of APS Ledger Plus that's out there today is an early version, but it's working. It's being used by some smaller accounting firms. And to check in, we're doing weekly updates, deployments in terms of new features. So today, the product is doing collecting data from my old products, Reckon products, QBO, and ... Xero will be added next month to round that out. Pulling that data in, mapping it in your format, in your GL. You can then see the comparators, do journals, produce reports, etc. We have some scheduled big release drops coming up, which will bring this product up to the sort of level of features, the high standard of features that those using XPA would expect. And we aim to get those features and that level of functionality to you early in the new year. So the point being is that absolutely nothing is slowing down, stopped, being shelved, or anything else in terms of the cloud roadmap that we've spoken to you about. The cool thing is, it's just a whole lot of other stuff to talk to you about. And we'll be doing that, kicking off this journey on the 5th of October. So in the invite to this meeting, to this session, there's an invite to the second one. You'll meet some of the leaders of the bigger team. They will show and share with you that combined roadmap, meaning the stuff I've just showed you and the new bits. This is also the stake in the ground as the first of quarterly roadmap updates. So on a rolling 3 months, you'll hear from the product guys on, here's what's happening. Here are the commitments for this next 3 months, and also some insight into what's coming down the pike. So short and sharp, but hopefully that has given you a bit of a sense of what's happening at our end, and more importantly, how that impacts what we can do for you. I hope to see you all on the 5th of October, so we can go through that combined product roadmap, the fun stuff. Any questions, thoughts, suggestions, etc. If you put them in the chat of this Zoom, we will reply to each and every one of them. And as always, outside of that, you can reach out to me or any one of the Access APS team anytime through the usual channels. So thank you for joining us today. And until the next time, I appreciate you being here and have a great Tuesday.